Did you know that the ghost of the Headless Horseman is real? That's right. To this day, people have seen him riding, trying to complete his mission. There are reports of cars swerving out of the way to avoid a rider that has suddenly appeared in the middle of this specific road. People that have looked over and suddenly seen a headless rider riding alongside their car, trying to complete his ride. Some say he is a headless rider that rides on a horse with fiery eyes. Now, we will see if that's actually true. So this legend comes to you out of Canton, Connecticut. This legend actually is known as the tale of the French Paymaster, or the Headless Horseman of Canton, Connecticut. Now, Canton, for those who don't know, originally started out as part of Simsbury. In 1806, it became its own town. Now, this story takes place in 1781. We have our French paymaster, René Garneau, riding along the old Albany Turnpike from Boston to Saratoga to pay the revolutionary troops. At this time, the revolutionary troops were heavily dependent upon the French and the French gold in order to keep everybody paid. So that's what he was off to do, because it had been several weeks since their last paychecks. So as he's going along, he comes along an inn called the Hosford Inn, or also known as Dudley Case's Tavern, which is the name of the owner. And he comes in. Locals that are just sitting around for their afternoon tipple, for their evening bitters, notice him. He's well dressed, and he comes in with his saddlebags slung over his shoulder. They try to speak with him, but he basically tries to convey to them that he knows very little English, and all he would like is a private room and a meal. And that's exactly what he's given. He's given dinner, and then he follows the innkeeper up to a room where he thanks him, bids him good night, asks if he can be woken early in the morning so he can be on his way, steps in and locks the door. And that's the last that anybody has ever seen him alive. So now supposedly the innkeeper says that he has roused his boarder and gotten him on his way. So what happens is, a few weeks later, the troops now have gone for almost a month, if not longer, without being paid. Washington sends General Philip Schuyler and French Vicomte Charles Dumas to the inn to find out what happened to him. Now, they stop at the Hosford Inn with a lot of questions, because René hasn't been seen at any other inns along the Albany Turnpike. At this time, the Albany Turnpike was a poorly used road. It was, maybe not in the best of shape. But this was the last place he was seen. Now, the innkeeper insists that he had sent Mr. Garneau on his way with the money. Now, a few years later, after René Garneau has gone missing, a couple of boys who were fishing in Cherry Pond pull up the remains of a long dead horse. With him are bits of rotted leather and whatnot from a saddle, and it's noted that upon his shod hooves are some very interesting horseshoes. Now, around 1783 or 1784, the Hosford stand burns down, because in 1784 there are records of people going in to clean it up. And in the basement, they found a partially buried skeleton. Interestingly enough, the head was some ways away from the body. And along with that, there were the remains of bits of fine leather. So it is presumed that the innkeeper, Dudley Chase, was actually the one who killed René Garneau. And another thing is, people do remember that the innkeeper seemed to hit a bit of prosperity, even though the Albany Turnpike was not well traveled and the business was slow. He always seemed to be quite prosperous, buying new furniture as well as other bits and things for the inn. So that leaves one to assume he was the one who murdered René Garneau. but we'll never really know. Now, you might be wondering, what road did the Albany Turnpike become? How is it that there are still records of people that supposedly see this spectral rider? Route 44, which runs from Boston to the Hudson Valley, is modern-day Route 44. I believe in certain areas, like in Canton, it branches off into Route 202, which may follow the original Route 44. But this is where this rider is seen, supposedly on Route 44. And people have seen him with his cape flying on foggy nights in the wee hours of the morning as he tries desperately to bring the money up to the troops in Saratoga. And he is forever trying to make that run to complete his mission. Just be careful if you go out along Historic 44. There are many ghosts and goblins and specters who wander the highways and byways. That specific road is well haunted and well known. Well, safe driving. Bye. If you're interested, all this information will be in the description. Though this specific tale comes from the book Connecticut Ghost Stories and Legends, written by Thomas D'Agostino and Arlene Nicholson. There is a large part, especially for this tale, that Nicholson quotes directly from Lawrence S. Carlton, MD, and his research, which is where I drew off a lot of my stuff, as well as clarification from Damned Connecticut and another website as well, all of which will be in the description if you should choose to look it up. So this story, this legend actually dates to about the 1780s. We don't know if for sure if there were any sightings not long after, like somewhere between 1782 to, I think this excerpt dates to around the Civil War. So figure around 1865, 1866, 67, somewhere around there, because it was roughly toward the end of the Civil War when Carlton pulled his story from. So it is plausible that when Washington Irving wrote his legend of Sleepy Hollow around the 1820s, that he was already aware of this myth and just applied it to his trade, because you do have a headless horseman who chases everyone down with a pumpkin for a head. Horse with fiery eyes. Now, I don't know if that's mentioned in the article from Damned Connecticut. I don't know if it's kind of a crossover, if the legend of Sleepy Hollow influences this ghost, or if this ghost influenced that. It's kind of chicken egg kind of thing, or if the horse is obviously a ghost as well, and if that's how ghost animals are seen. I don't know. It's worth mentioning. Ghost animals to me usually appear. Well, I've seen ghost cats and dogs. They're usually low to the ground, and sometimes they're just a mass of color, or they're just like a mass, just kind of low to the ground. And you'll think to yourself, "Oh, that was just the dog." We don't have a dog. At least not anymore. Or you might think, "Oh, that was the cat." Wait, they don't have a cat anymore. So, but I've never encountered ghost horses. So that might be just how that figure chooses to manifest. It might also be the way the fog, if it appears in the rain and the fog. So I don't know. But yeah, if you're looking for any information, that's where it is. I'll have all this for you in the description. Thanks for stopping by. Did you know that the ghost of the Headless Horseman is real? That's right, he is. He rides a very real road, and there are people that to this day still report seeing him trying to complete his mission. Some say he rides headless on a horse with fiery eyes. Jesus! The door just opened all on its own. Oh, I had that coming. Okay, let's try that again. We got ghosts. Actually, we got wind.